Welcome again to a new episode of the You, Me, and BTC podcast. I am Tim Baker, and I will be your solo. I don't know whatever this is. I am your partner. See, this is a good way to start this out. This is exactly why Daniel and Zach both hate me, and this is why my follower count on Twitter always seems to keep on going down lower. As I start things off in a very bad way. I've never been able to make very good impressions with people right off the bat. I can do fine in like a job setting or something like that because I'm civil. Like I won't just scream fuck at you as soon as I meet you. I won't just start like picking at you for something. So I can be civil. I can be like courteous. So people are like, oh, you're nice. But then if I'm outside of like an official thing or where it's not expected, then I'm like, oh, you're going to pay me, so I should be nice to you. I don't really make very good first impressions because I go to try to say something and I just get stuck right at the beginning. I just babble and I babble because I think I'll be able to think of the right words. I'm like, oh, you're smart, Tim. And then no, it doesn't really work out. But I'm your host tonight. I'll be leading you into our journey into crypto this week. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a different and actually probably Daniel almost definitely won't appreciate this, but I'm trying to find a different way for us to go with this Bitcoin. We need to reinvent ourselves again as a Bitcoin podcast. We need to corner some kind of the market because right now, I don't know, the closest thing I would say, I saw somebody use a term on Twitter today, something about a Bitcoin centrist. I think somebody that Zach was tweeting at. That's probably where we're at in that we don't really, I mean, we'll argue for the sake of we need Bitcoin to keep money out of government's hands or something like that, but we don't really go the full Bitcoin is stupid if it's not used for that. We're pretty much in the middle, but I'm not. I don't really like that too much anymore. I think we need to pull some other kind of crypto kind of thing to like drag people in. I think probably what we should do is become like the Gawker of cryptocurrency. I get that like Twitter is already or not. I don't not Gawker. TMZ. We need to be the like the video people that just like follow people into hotel rooms or follow people down the street. So we'll get like I don't know, pick whatever cryptocurrency. I don't know who the biggest is. I know like a couple people that I follow, but I don't know who like who's following the most people. That would be pretty easy to figure out. I guess I could just go on their accounts and go, oh well, that's a follower account. That's 1,000 more than this guy, and kind of just build my way up. But I don't really feel like doing that. It's not that I don't have time. It's just that if I start doing stuff like that with my life, I might have to kill myself. If I did like a full segment on this show about who had the most Twitter followers, I don't know if I could really keep on going after that. It would be a definitely a struggle. See, right there already, I was like, wait, what's the word for struggle? What is it? Anyway, yeah, I'm your solo guy tonight. As I said, bring all your tokens, please. I will remove clothing for tokens. I don't now. You can get me right here is because I'm just saying tokens, so you can just send whatever the fuck you want at me. I would prefer Bitcoin. Please send all of the Bitcoin to our addresses. Bitcoin is done. It's dead. We're gone. It's only used for criminals now. It's only useful for that. If you use it, you're a criminal. It's basically akin to using Bitcoin is like if you just don't vote, like you're basically a piece of shit and you don't deserve to live in America. So get out now. Um, but we will take the burden on. We'll become kind of the scapegoat. If you guys, if anybody knows like ancient, like the Old Testament stuff, where there's the scapegoat, where you put all the sins on the one scapegoat and you send it out in the desert. We will do that. Just give us all your Bitcoin. We will take all the issues that come along with it. We'll take all the guilt and we will assuage you of all of that. We will make you feel better about yourself so you don't have to feel like a piece of garbage because you're not part of whatever the amazing financial system that we all live in is. What's up, MY Cartoons? Also, I want to say send us all money because my only issue with doing these shows by myself is because I have like weird eating habits. I don't eat till probably like noon. I'll get up at like 7:15. I don't eat a meal until like noon. So then I'm eating stuff at like 5, 7, and 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is normally when we start this. If you haven't been to this before, we do this show, a live show every single Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And eating then, I'm shoveling food into my face as Daniel kind of does the introduction. So that's why I started a little bit late today, is because I just ate like three of those I think it was Walmart brand sweet, not sweet. I don't think so. I hope not. If it was sweet sausage, then I'm gonna have to pull out of this podcast pretty quickly, probably. I sometimes have issues. But so like three mild sausages, just kind of stuff them in there. Whatever advice, whatever I say tonight, you do have to remember that you're listening to a guy who just just does that. So it's not like I'm making the best decisions for myself. I mean, I'm currently salivating over here still. My stomach's all fucked up. I'm trying to just pound a bunch of nicotine just to like kind of cover that up and settle everything down, but it's not working so far. But that's my biggest issue with doing the shows by myself, is not being able to eat while Daniel's talking the entire time, but specifically at the beginning. Daniel's out this week. He pulled up some random thing about I don't know. He said the time change. My phone had to update, so I got like a couple texts from like 5 and 6 o'clock about 20 minutes ago, and they kind of just showed up now. He said, "Oh, the time zone. I'm not really sure. I no. Oh, I forgot about the time zone. I'm not gonna be able to make it. I don't know what that means. I feel like Daniel's just ditching you guys again. I, on the other hand, though, am still here, and I will always be here for you guys, which doesn't really reflect necessarily good on me, but you can at least kind of take that as a little bit of like, I'm suffering here right with you guys. So don't worry, we're all gonna get through this together." Zach is, I think, something at his work. So again, follow Zach. Zach's actually out in New York now, working with a legit crypto company. Um, he's actually doing stuff now for Bitcoin. He's not just talking into a microphone. He's working on stuff, at least in his mind. To me, it's a little bit. See, this is for you, Zach. It's a little bit too status for me. I'm not really huge on that. So he's not really doing anything, but at least looks like he's doing something. People on Twitter are gonna think he's doing something. So there, fuck you, Zach. I don't. I'm just angry still about the follower count. That's the only people I do pay attention to. The follower counts are me, Daniel, and Zach. You can get me at Baker's Dozen 93, Zach at Zach Vol, and Daniel runs the You Mean BTC podcast, or the You Mean BTC Twitter handle. Zach hasn't put out a new episode of his show, but he also has a Twitter account for the Coin Pod that has a bunch of episodes left over where he does interviews with people. So check those out. And then I have a podcast called Tim's 2 Cents. Still need a new, better name for it. It doesn't need to be new. Steal some other guy named Tim. If he does a dumb podcast too, take his and give it to me. But Tim's 2 Cents, I think I'm on episode, I think I did 35 this week. So not anything hugely exciting. It's not like you can't be like, oh, it's the 35th episode, let's throw a party. But we're chugging along. Figuring out what exactly I want to do with that. You guys can let me know how bad it is, please. I will take, like, Zach gets people shitting on him. We talked about this last week on this show. Zach gets people shitting on stuff he puts on Twitter all the time. I don't put things on Twitter occasionally, and normally the reception is none, or like two people think it's positive. I don't get people being like, you're stupid, you're dumb. So I need more of that. I need more, why did you not even try to do this correctly? I have gotten a few of those comments on YouTube from past solo episodes. One of those was done under the influence of something pretty heavily, I think, back on like 420 of like 2017, 2016. So I don't really remember exactly what happened then. But just so far, it seems like I've been doing better. I'm not as like, I think that one I legitimately sat there for a couple, like 30 seconds or so. I was like, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Where are we going with this? But if you guys haven't been paying attention to anything besides the Bitcoin price, really, I mean, I'll jump off on that for a second. The Bitcoin price has held pretty stable for the past couple weeks. I know we did an episode a couple weeks ago about there's a record amount of stability in the price. I'm not sure how that measures up exactly with graphs now. I'm kind of staying away from graphs ever since Zach's kind of debacle that he had. But it's pretty stable, not jumping around all the time. It's between like 6,300, 6,500. But if you haven't been paying attention to anything else, I guess this is the only real news that you'd actually care about. And I'm going to steal something from what are these people called? See, this is the thing. Now I need to like go around, find screen share. Now I'm fucking you guys up here. Market watch. Bitcoin trapped in tighter range than Mexican peso, Brazilian real, and other popular currencies. I didn't know that's how you spelled the Brazilian real. I feel like that's maybe a mess up on their part. I don't really know. And I was looking at this before, and I always try to figure out what kind of bias the whatever website it is falls under, because there's always something. As long as they're doing any kind of coverage on any kind of politics, there's always some kind of a bent, and it looks like maybe they're conservative. I'm not really sure. That's the other thing. I can't tell anymore because no one really makes any sense with what they do anyway. Everyone just posts random things and like, this means that I'm a progressive and this means I'm a conservative. I'm like, I don't really get how any of this means anything at this point. All of this is just you kind of throwing some dumb headline together. But this is by Aaron Hankin. Bitcoin volatility has plunged to levels where day traders looking to capitalize on big moves might be better off switching from virtual to tangible currencies. Blah, blah, blah. They're talking about the price changes from the beginning of 2018. Since September 7th, the price of a single Bitcoin has oscillated on either side of 6,500, not venturing outside the 6,000, 7,000 range, limiting its top to bottom range to less than 8%. That range is tantamount to what might be seen in popular traded fiat currencies, including 5 of the 20 most traded currencies by volume, according to data from the Bank of International Settlements. So Bitcoin is in the red here. If you can, I don't even know if you can read the stuff. But Bitcoin is here. The US dollar is right next to it. And then it kind of goes through a bunch of different currencies. I guess the Turkish lira has jumped a lot. The Brazilian real has jumped a lot. And the Argentinian peso has jumped quite a bit. So if you were a trader, you probably, I guess the point of this article is that you should have been trading those instead if you'd figured that out. For speculators, quote, for speculators, it poses more of a challenge to scratch out gains in Bitcoin markets, said Ledin Sweeting, director and head trader at CoinSquare Capital Markets Limited. But for the market, it's a positive sign that things have begun to stabilize and normalize. Maybe. Again, we've talked so much about how, at least I have, Daniel kind of goes along with it, but he doesn't like go on and actually talk about, okay, now I'm messing things up, I'm sorry. He doesn't really go on and talk about how where was I going with that? He will understand what I'm saying about there being cycles in Bitcoin, but he won't necessarily follow with that. He won't necessarily say I'm right. He'll just be like, oh, that's a cool idea, because I get it. He doesn't want to be like, yeah, Bitcoin's always in a cycle. It's always going to jump up by like 20 times what the value is, because then when it doesn't, he loses a bunch of money, and all of his family loses a bunch of money, and all of the people he told to invest lose a bunch of money. They'll be pissed. Most people don't trust me, and I tell people not to trust me, so I don't really worry too much about the whole, oh, well, you told me to put Bitcoin into the. I had several people do that. They'd be like, you said Bitcoin was going to make a lot of money. It was at 20 grand. Now it's at 7. I was like, yep, well, you're fucked. Okay. I don't really care. That's whatever you want to do, man. So I don't really have that kind of overhead to whatever I do. People don't come to me for advice. They normally go, wow, Bitcoin's cool, but it's done. I'm like, yep, nope, it's done. It's never going to happen again. Do you have any left? Give it to me. But it seems like there is always this kind of meteoric jump to the moon, then it drops back down, and then it stabilizes there for a while. And it's not just a month, it's not just a couple months. Sometimes it's a while, and then it starts to go up, 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 up. It might drop back down again a little bit, stabilizes, and then it goes back up. It seems like, and that seems like what Bitcoin has been doing for quite a while now. That pretty much ever since it first got above zero sense. It's always had something of an upward trend, and why not? That's how I look at it most time. If you're thinking about buying Bitcoin, if you're thinking about getting into something like that, yeah, sure. Put in, like, if you're willing to lose that money, you might as well just diversify. Have a little bit of fun in your life and be able to tell people, "Oh, I made $10,000 on this dumb Bitcoin." Do you ever hear about Bitcoin? Yeah, I have, and I read all about it. And I know all this. Well, do you have any? Well, no, because I didn't think it was safe. Well, what do you do with your? I just kind of leave it in the bank, and then it accrues interest there. Yeah, maybe. The closing gap between fiat and digital currency volatility was aided by rising geopolitical tensions across the globe. In Turkey, rising debt levels and political uncertainty saw investors flee to safer pastures. And in Argentina, a string of interest rate increases in loans from the International Monetary Fund have failed to stop the demise of the peso. So, yeah, two countries not doing too well. There's some political unrest. The debt, which other countries have, just like we do, but they don't have the giant military that we do, where we go, yeah, we'll pay you back, sure. And then everyone's like, ooh, will you? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Look at this Abrams tank over here. Does that look like we're not going to pay you back? And they're like, well, I don't really see how that has anything to do with what we're talking about. But now that I have a tank pointed at me, sure, here's some more money. So they're having some issues over there. And then that's half the reason to put money into Bitcoin in this country is if there ever is an issue where our debt gets called, where China goes, hey, we need some of that back, or something like that, and we have to default on something, what's going to happen to the monetary supply? What's going to happen to the dollar? And if you have it in literally anything besides a dollar, guns, gold, Bitcoin, uh, trading cards, if they can hold their value, literally anything that isn't the dollar, you'll be better off. And I mean, it doesn't really look like it's getting better. Like, the dollar is never going to deflate. The dollar is never going to gain value back. That we're beyond that point where that's ever going to happen again. So again, why not? Unless you're finding something else that has a better rate of return on it. And I'm not talking about the 0.006% interest you get at the credit union. You should probably put some of your dollars in something else. Most of our economy is based on people spending money like it's burning holes in their pockets, because it's not worth anything compared to what it is a couple of years ago. It's not going to get better. Back to the article. However, despite the pickup in fiat volatility, the story has been Bitcoin. Its 30-day volatility is at its lowest level since December 2016, and declining volumes suggest it might be a while before the 8% range is breached. There hasn't been much impetus to suggest things are going to change anytime soon, said Sweeting. Yeah, I don't really know how much that told me about anything. It just goes, hey, there's some countries that are fucked up, and Bitcoin isn't as volatile as those are. It's Bitcoin, a mathematics sequence, is not as volatile as a country that is having internal political strife and skyrocketing debt. Where? Okay, we're back. 420 on 4. Yeah, no, absolutely not. NY cartoons. That is not what I did. No. Let's see. Where are we going now? I had another article up. I think it was about Bitcoin being stupid or something like that. It was about Bitcoin not being a good investment for somebody. I'm not really remembering what I accidentally, like, right before I started this, I just went through the tabs at the top of my browser, clicked off a bunch of the ones that weren't needed, and I think I got rid of that one. But what I've been wanting to talk about, I think I talked about it a little bit on my show, which, again, that the most recent episode will be out pretty quickly. At least if Daniel keeps his promises, which he probably won't. Is, I don't know, voting. If you've paid attention to anything, like, if you're not somebody who only pays attention to Bitcoin prices, you can't really have avoided the whole midterm elections. I always forget that they happen. I always forget that everybody cares about them a lot. Like, they're like, oh, well, my senator now is gonna, but apparently everybody does, especially in the past well, I don't remember it being like this last year. I don't remember it being. I'm kind of getting my years messed up now, and I can't really remember if it's been 2 years. No, yeah, no, it has to have been 2 years of a Trump presidency. No, no, it can't be. But I don't remember the midterms being this huge of an issue last time. This year, it's been all about the blue wave and the red wave. Um, I don't know. I don't even know exactly what happened. I know the Cortez socialist lady in New York got elected. So good job, Zach. Thank you for that. Thank you for espousing the great, wonderful mode of democracy and making decisions that voting has for us. But I mean, besides that, I think it was like most elections where people get some of, like, Republicans get some things, Democrats get some things, and then they spend a couple days or weeks afterwards telling all the people that didn't vote for one of those two parties how they ruined everything for them, and how if that one person hadn't voted libertarian or green or whatever other party you have, then we'd have everything fixed and it would be great. um but that's probably what it's going to be like this year. It has already been like that a little bit this year. Nobody really, I don't know. That's the thing with any of this dumb shit is, you know how in like old warfare back before they could really keep track of how many people got murdered on a certain day, both sides would be like, we won. And then, or once, yeah, I fucked that up. The one side would be like, we won. The other side would be like, no, we won. Fuck you. We gained this hill that we won. And they're like, no, fuck you. We killed this many guys. And they're like, that's propaganda. That's a lie. That seems like what it is now. That seems like what political discussions is now, where it's not about, because who says what is winning as far, unless you literally get everything. Because it's like the side that lost, if they lost, if they didn't, if they lost 100%, if they lost by like 80%, at least then on a map you could show like, oh, all these states are red compared to these like 4 blue, or vice versa. And that, whoever lost, Republicans or Democrats, would just spend the next couple weeks going, this actually isn't a defeat, this actually is the best thing that could have happened for us. I'm sorry, I'm not using my politician voice. And this is a fuck. See, I can't be a politician, I can't do this. But they would spend the next couple days telling people at speeches about how this is actually exactly what they wanted. This gives them a base to work off of. This means that, oh, next time we can go get them. Like they're a sports team that just lost, and they're like, oh, we get the first round draft pick now. That, and then their pet media companies, whichever side they be on, and then even the independent ones that we have now, would just, whichever side they were on, would just be like, oh, well, yeah, my side won because now we know what it takes to win next time, and we're going to learn from this. And actually, it's good we didn't win this time because we wouldn't have been able to do anything anyway. So that's kind of what all of this has come down to now. It's just whoever can spin whatever's happened better, whoever can like make it look better in the public eye, I guess, which might be a public relations thing. Like, but I don't know who are the people who are voting and then they go, oh, we lost. The Republicans lost. I guess I should just vote for the Democrats next time. Like, who's doing? Nobody does that. Nobody does this. Oh, well, I mean, we just need to make some difficult choices, and if I have to go with them this time, then that. No, people don't do that. People just go with whatever dumb little ideas in their head. You know, same thing. Like, that was the one time I voted. I voted for Ron Paul. It was dumb. It was, that entire thing was dumb. The entire process was dumb, and it was in the primary, which, whichever election it is for the president that decides who gets to be the Republican that is then the exact same person as the Democrat they put forward. But I voted for Ron Paul. Stupid. I shouldn't have done it. It was a waste of time. It didn't need to be done. Didn't help anything, and nothing really mattered. People make the argument about voting for the Libertarian Party and be like, well, if they get enough votes, then they'll get to be on the moderating, and they'll get to debate the people. And I'm like, yeah, is that's how we're gonna get everybody to switch to libertarianism? Is have these two people just like screaming at this one guy about how dumb he is, and he only gets it's some percentage they have to get of the vote before they're allowed to be part of the debates. But it's not going to. Nobody likes us. Nobody likes libertarian. Nobody likes, like, everybody. I will still follow with the idea that everybody in their life is a libertarian. Everybody in their life, whatever they decide should be free, they view that as it should be free. They don't look at it as, oh well, I enjoy this, but I don't feel bad about doing it, but I do think that it should be legal and taxed as well. I think that I should have to pay extra money for this. I think that I should be barred, along with other people, be barred from engaging in this enjoyable activity that I like so much. And I feel that this is the best thing for society. Nobody does that. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, nobody does that. Nobody actually has. We have like totalitarianism in a lot of people, and it's not just the kind of quintessential jackbooted conservatives being like, we can't have abortions and gays can't get married and we're all just gonna chew tobacco and then no weed, nothing. It's not. That's not the only totality. Like, everybody is totality. Everybody wants to force everybody else to conform to their dumb little idea of what is going to make the world perfect, and it never does. We get another dumb recreational weed law. I like weed, but I don't give a shit about legal weed. It doesn't mean anything. Like, oh, now we're freed with our bodies and I'm legal. And I said, well, fuck you then. Like, why is that important to you? Why is it important to you to be legal, like to have your life be legally kosher? Like, why why is that an enjoyable thing? I get the I want to enjoy this, but I don't want to have to worry about getting thrown in prison or having my kids taken away from me. I understand that. I understand just being like, well, I just like to get high and I'd really rather not freak out about the cops while I'm doing it, whatever. But the arguments about, oh, this is our step towards freedom, and it's like, it's not. What are you talking? It's like saying that taking back the whatever amendment that prohibition was a giving us more freedom. It's not giving us any more freedom. They're giving us permission to do something, and very, very regulated at that, very highly taxed, especially in Pennsylvania. It's not just taxed here, it's also liquor, alcohol above a certain volume can only be sold in government stores. Like, what kind of freedom is this? You go like, oh, well, I really like alcohol, but if we let it be sold in the other stores, they'd abuse that. Now that alcohol is only sold by the state, underage drinking is down. And it's like, what are you talking? No, it's not. It's not. None of this stuff ever makes things better. We're not like, oh, now everybody has weed. Now nobody kills each other anymore. Now, I say that, and then there's all the statistics that come out of Colorado about how there's less violent crime, there's less shootings, but maybe that's because people just left and quit. Like, the criminals quit selling weed along with all the other drugs that normally people don't just sell weed. If you're like an actual drug dealer, people don't just sell weed. They go, I got this and this and this and this. So maybe the weed legalization, they go, well, I was making a lot of money with weed. I'll just move to a different state where it's illegal. But now that I'm leaving, I'm also not part of I'm not part of the group. Like, I think that's like a decent point. I haven't really thought about that before, so I'm trying to like walk through it now. But I think part of the reason why, shut up, Daniel's texting me and I hate him so much. Part of the reason why the crime goes down is because you take away crime. Like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, of course that means you're getting rid of crime, because you're no longer making something a criminal activity, and then you're also not making it a criminal activity where violence is very often the only way to it's not the only way to do business, but it's the only way to get over a uh what's an argument in business. It's the only way to get through an impasse where two people come together. They go, well, here's $50. Well, here's this. Well, that's not enough. And then you go, oh, okay. You either leave or you go, no, fuck you, and you shoot the guy. So maybe that's why violence is going down. I also don't get how after we make something, like you make weed legal, and I understand this from the point of, if you have a son in prison, or you have a wife in prison, or whatever, a cousin who went to prison for weed, who went to prison for selling weed, smoking weed, whatever it was, you want to have either their record expunged or let them out of prison, depending on how long it is. But that doesn't really make sense. If a law is a law, and this is why I don't follow with status. As much as I've kind of switched over recently about how I look at, like, is libertarianism or anarcho-capitalism, is actual freedom truly even possible in our modern society, I have no respect most of the time for the people that talk about how the rule of law is so important and blah blah blah, but then it can, like, if the law can just be changed this easily, what was so like, where was the sanctity? Where was the sanctity if you can just, oh well, we decided not. Nope. Fooled you. It's not illegal anymore. So I don't get where the sanctity is if you can just do that. But if you have a criminal record for marijuana, because I don't know, Pennsylvania is medical right now. I'm sure in a couple of years it'll be recreational legal. And then eventually there'll be a bill about the people in prison over it expunging their records, or letting them out. The point of prison, the point of something like that, point of rehabilitation, whatever they call it, the punishment for it, you're punishing the person for a crime. You're not punishing a person for the action. Specifically, I mean, like, you're not punishing the laws. I mean, as much as we want to act like these people really think these laws out, like, look, like, why, like, suicide's illegal? Why? What are you taught? Like, you can't punish somebody, punish whatever I said. You can't punish somebody for doing with their life what they want. So you're not punishing, like, the action. Same thing with, like, marijuana. You're not punishing somebody for sitting in their house smoking weed because the action is evil. At least we've tried to get away from that. We've tried to get away from it being a moral question. You're not punishing them for the act of smoking a joint in an alleyway when a cop walks by, catches them. You're not punishing somebody for the act of whatever it is. You're punishing somebody for breaking the law. And if you're punishing somebody for breaking the law, just because the law changes doesn't negate the fact that they broke the law when it was still a law. Like, they still, like, I thought the point of laws was to kind of have a code of what was socially acceptable behavior. And punishment for that would be the idea of, you did something that we do not agree as a social group to be okay. So you need to go spend some time so that we feel like you've understood that you can't do this again, because it's a problem and we can't live in a society where people like you just do whatever they want. As much as that hurts me to say it, like, I think that, I mean, that just is what any kind of government is. That's what punishment is. That's what crime and punishment is this is a socially unacceptable behavior. We can't have this. And the socially unacceptable behavior doesn't, like, it laws change, morals change, but the idea of rebelling against that society then is what you're being punished for. So it's I don't, whenever weed was illegal, say 2016 Pennsylvania, you get pulled over, you have a couple ounces of weed in the car. That's enough for a felony, I believe. You get the felony, you maybe go do some prison. Maybe you have them in separate baggies, so they think you're going to sell them. You get more time. Maybe it's a third. I don't know if we have third strike here, but whatever it is, maybe you get a couple of years. You're in prison. If the law is actually a thing of sanctity, if the law is something that is true and rule of law is something to uphold, then that person should finish out his sentence and should keep the felony charge on his record forever. Like, just like if the law hadn't been changed, because they didn't. The issue is not that they smoked weed. The issue is that they broke a social construct, not a social. I don't know what that doesn't really make sense. They broke a social. They made a problem for society by going against what the majority of people wanted. So they did something wrong. If laws are something to be respected in that sense, they did something wrong and they should be punished for it. And the punishment shouldn't end because the law gets changed. The punishment should end if they've been rehabilitated or if they've shown their rehabilitated. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm making the point of let's get rid of these people because I mean, I have no problem with like I'm the last person to defend the law. Every single time I'm around people, whether it's strangers or people I know, and they go, "There should be a law about." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up! I don't want to hear your stupid, retarded nonsense about what you think should be legal or what should not be." Because I can tell you right now, you're not about to make any goddamn sense. And I like I have no part of me ever wants to hear people's opinions on what should or should not be legal. But if it is something that you respect, and if you are someone that takes the government seriously, then why do you? I just don't get it. Talking about taking government seriously, I'm getting tired of the people complaining about Trump for being like uncivil, or he's just a buffoon. He's like a child in the presidential chair. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. Like, good. I'm glad. Hopefully, it makes some of you fucking children quit depending on a guy in a city miles away represent you, and because it's not. I get that he does kind of represent America. I get that he does that, and I mean, this would be a bigger problem back in the '60s. I mean, Nixon would have been a bigger problem because most of the people in a different country wouldn't know you, wouldn't know most of Americans. But with the internet now, there's no barrier for this shit. But even if there was, he's a representative to people in another country. He's a representative until you can't, until you become your own representative, whether that's you travel or you make a phone call or somehow you interact with somebody in a different country. What, like maybe you have a service call and you have to, you just be courteous because you should try to be a decent person. It makes things go a little bit better. But the whole, oh well, Trump's just making all of us look bad. It's like, well, no, we all always look bad. Everybody has hated us for years because we just kill everybody, and then we go, yep, yep, Mr. Obama, you get a Nobel Peace Prize right now for we don't know, like, and we celebrated George Bush because we all bought the bullshit that like all the conservatives like he's a born again Christian. No, he's doing coke. He looks like he's doing coke. He looks like he never stopped doing coke. What are you talking? And the rest of the world hates us for what, like, for how much of the time that we spend in our lives trying to justify our existences because they are so much better than the rest of the world. It's like the our lives, and like, do this if you can smoke, if you don't mind, if you can get, if you want to, this would probably help. Get inebriated on some kind of a substance, go outside, look up at the stars, and just sit there, enjoy that moment, enjoy the fact that you can walk back inside, probably have air conditioning, you have the internet, you can go jerk off to whatever you want, regardless. Who fuck no, not November, you can go jerk off if you want to. You can watch any movie you want on Netflix, do all this stuff. You have all the food that you could ever need for the next month stocked up in your house. And you just sit there and you enjoy that for a couple seconds. You enjoy that how messed up you are, and you go, wow. Is this like, is there any book where a character experiencing this is the good guy? Like, is there any movie where you see a scene of someone just in opulence like this? Is that ever the good guy? Is that ever is that group ever the good guy? Do we ever look at that group as the good guy? And I think that'll open up, should at least open up kind of what I'm trying to say, as far as we spend so much of our lives trying to convince ourselves that we are the good guys and that we aren't uh, living amazing lives based off of other people having shittier lives than us. Now, still, in my opinion, I believe a global capital, more the spread of a capitalist societies, have like the quality of living around the world, the length that people live, the access to healthcare and food has gone up. But the reason why you're getting cheap food at the supermarket isn't because, oh, we have such a well designed system of transporting goods and everything around, and that might save us a couple cents, but like most of the reason is we just use labor from across the country, across the sea, where people don't go, I need $15 an hour right now because I need a living wage for this menial job that a computer is going to be doing in a year. I mean, that's why all this stuff is so accessible. That's why people hate us. That it's not like, I mean, Trump doesn't help, but besides like the British people, they're like, Trump is, we need a Trump baby bump. Anybody who's not in Britain is just our little brother. That kind of he's the guy. Britain is the kid that tags around with his older brother and just kicks people. He's the bully along with his big brother bully. I don't think they were brothers, but if you ever seen Christmas Story, like the two bullies, America's the big guy, the little short I think they call him a toady with the newsboy hat. He's Britain, and then Charlie. No, I don't remember what the kids' names are in that. Ralphie, and then the kid that gets his tongue stuck to the pole that also did a porno later, I think. And then whatever the other guy's, Litz, whatever his name is. That's just the rest of the world, and we just fuck people up. And Britain's like, yeah, take that. Hey, but like leave. Hey, be nice. Like Britain's a piece of shit too. Britain, France, most of the EU are all pieces of garbage too, just like us. They just tax their people even more, and then go, hey, you want some shitty healthcare that you may or may not receive, and if we kind of deem you not worthy of life, we're probably gonna get rid of you, which they can do in America too, but at least it's not, you're not getting taxed out the ass before you're told. You still are getting taxed out the ass, and then if you're dumb enough to be poor and get insurance, you're also paying for that. I mean, at this point, I'm switching over. I think in the next year, where I can no longer just pay off my parents for my health insurance. I don't know what I'm going to do because I don't. I'll get my I haven't gone to the doctor for like a health checkup in years. I'll get one now, and then I probably won't get insurance till I'm like 35. I'll just kind of ride that out. I'll eat a lot of vegetables, see what happens. But none of the hatred for us, none of the disgust with Americans, just blatant disregard. Like, we just don't understand how much better our lives are, and that's why people hate us. People don't hate us because Trump is a little bit more obnoxious than Obama. Like, Obama was obnoxious too. Obama was an asshole too. Like, they're all assholes. You don't get to that position in government without being an asshole and without treating people like an asshole. Just because you can trick a few hipster kids in college a little bit better, like that, both of them, I mean, I'm talking presidents way back. Like, they've all been assholes, but Obama and Trump were both pretty much rode power off of promising a bunch of stuff they haven't done, having a big bluster about things, and in riding off of the votes and support of a bunch of college kids that are drunk and date raping each other all the time. So I like there's no there's no good in any of this. If you see a presidential camp, or you see a presidential flag like a presidential, like the signs everybody puts up, like "Make America Great Again," or Obama had like, I forget what his forward, maybe, or no, that was Hillary. Obama had something, some tagline that went along with his stuff. If you see one of those at a college party, America is in the shitter. Like if we've gotten to the point where this is so blatantly stupid that kids that have a regular life of just getting blacked out are going, "Yep, this is my guy. I love him. He says all the good stuff." You're just stupid. Like I'll respect a lone alcoholic any day of the week. I will not respect people that have to get together to be alcoholics together. If you're a social alcoholic, get the fuck out of here. You're not an actual alcoholic. You just don't like talking to people sober. You don't like having to deal with the fact that you probably don't have friends, and that you just don't, you have no way of interacting with people in a normal sober setting, and you require alcohol to be socially kind of mobile. That's me. I'm not saying that's any different than I am. I need to be fucked up to talk to people. It does not work sober. Uh, but that's like, I'm just tired of hearing about people and how, oh well, Trump's just ruining everything. But now that we have all these new people in, everything's going to change. We always want this idea that, well, we could just get different people into those seats or into that office. Vote the bastards out, vote them out. It doesn't change. Like the problem isn't the people, just them. Like, I mean, they don't help. Believe me, the politicians don't help. The fact that all these spokespeople for different Democratic and Republican and Libertarian, probably all these different fuckers always get pulled up on child porn and everybody's fucking little kids, and like it's never good. None of these people are something to be emulate, and I've never thought it was a good idea to do that. Hero worship in a political figure is almost never a good idea. Maybe have hero worship for somebody that you can kind of actually see in your life. Don't have hero worship of somebody whose entire job depends on how much they can kind of, or not even kind of, it depends, their entire job is lying to you and making things seem better than they are. Being like, I'm in control. I know exactly what's going to happen. We know exactly how the economy is going to work. We know exactly how blah, blah, blah. So don't have hero worship for those people. Have hero worship for somebody around you. If you can find somebody that you can look up to, you can be mentored by, or even just your friends, have hero worship in the people around you and find the good in them and focus on building yourself off them. Don't go, oh, Trump inspired me to do so much with my life, or Obama inspired me to do so much with my life, because they shouldn't, because all these, everybody's just talk, and that's all it is. If you want to be a politician, sure, use them as your kind of benchmark for success. But if you're anything besides somebody that just wants to talk, then you should probably find some other role models, because if you really think that they're doing something and that they are something to be emulated, you're an idiot. And no, you're not an idiot, because it's not like I'm smarter in every direction, but you've bought so far into the propaganda of whatever it is that you're not even looking at it as reality anymore. Like, because we don't see these people in person, you're entirely depending on what other people say, the video shots they have, the camera angles, the words they write. And it's just like, well, sure, you can kind of fact check some of those, but at some point you're going to go, I don't really care. I'm just going to believe this. So, like, just quit depending on these people as part of your whatever saving. Everything's going to save you because you have a better president or something. No matter who you put in these offices, no matter who you put in the seats, no matter who controls the Senate, who controls the Congress, who's on the, oh, fuck Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I do not care about that old bitch. Oh, she's amazing. We need to make a movie now. It's like, why? 20-year-olds shouldn't know who the Supreme Court justice is. Why? Why are you concerned with this? It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect. Well, it's really dependent on our. Well, it doesn't, because they're never going to change anything big, because it wouldn't be good for you to go out. Like, the government will never do anything that's going to stop you from going out to the mall every weekend and buying a bunch of useless shit. The government and the most of the corporate media is completely based off of keeping you kind of riled up about a few different things that you can hate a few people, and you can go out and kind of stress eat and stress buy things. But as far as like any big issues where you're like, yeah, this system doesn't really work at all, and we've seen time and time again that it doesn't, nothing ever really changes, or the fact that we've been in a war for the past 90 years, or uh, whatever you want to pick out of many different issues, they're always kind of pushing away from those, because those would actually make people go, oh well, maybe I should save some of this money and not go spend it on a new pair of shoes, or a new video game, or a little bit more fast food, or a new I just need to go out and get a new pair of Adidas shoes. I need some nice white crisp shoes. Well, why? Well, they're gonna get dirty in a couple days. Well, I really want them, and I don't really have anything to worry about, so I might as well throw the money there. Other people around the world are struggling to buy a goat just to survive, feed their family. But I feel like I need to buy this North Face jacket. I think it really fits me, and I think it looks good. I think it'll do really well. Um, that's the thing. You're like, nothing is going to change as long as we keep still buying things, as long as we keep paying taxes, because there's no incentive for them to change things drastically. All they're going to do is keep writing new intelligence laws where they can kind of look at more of our stuff and figure that out more. And they're just going to be more social media centers that data mine everything, kind of sell off your internet footprint to people so they can target their ads more towards you. But nothing's going to change. I don't, it's not that it's not going to get better, but no, it's not that it's not going to get worse. I just don't see it getting better. It probably will get worse, but it seems like the decline into how bad things get is so slow. And I don't know if that's always by design, or it's just how people kind of look at the world. Maybe it's just me, but it's always like you look back like, oh, wait, a couple of years ago we didn't have the Patriot. I forgot about that. And then I had never flown, so I never got to experience this. But it's like, oh yeah, like 17 years ago, you just get on a plane and fly. You didn't need to go 2 hours early to go get patted down for whatever and get told that something wasn't correct. So it's like stuff kind of goes by the wayside and it falls off, and we don't notice losing it until like a couple of years later. And then we're like, oh, yeah, I didn't really need it anyway. I haven't used it for a while. It's like, yeah, because it hasn't been allowed for a couple of years. That's why you haven't used it. But I don't know. Whatever I'm saying, like I said before, if you're listening to anything I'm telling you, I just ate 3 mild sausages. I think that's like 800 calories or something. So I'm probably making shit up. I probably don't know what I'm talking about. I'm probably going to die from cholesterol overload in a couple of days. But yeah, if you did vote, I'm sorry you spent your time doing that. I wish you well. I hope you can conquer this mental illness I can't use assuage twice. I hope you can conquer this mental illness, which affects so many in our life, in our country. What is it like? It still has to be under half the people voting. But I hope you figure out a better thing to do with your time eventually. But advice of the week, buy more Bitcoin, send at least half of it to Yumi and BTC so that I can just pay somebody else to do this show so I can just eat. Let us all know how we're doing again on Twitter mostly, and then also just download us, look at everything, and remind us especially remind me how shitty I am. I need to be put in my place occasionally. But thanks for joining me tonight in my cartoons. We'll see you next week. We'll see you guys all next week at 9 p.m. Eastern. Also, don't vote, but have a good day, guys. I love you. And if you do vote, I feel bad for you, son, but I got 99 problems. But I don't know. I was trying to make a political. I suck. Bye, guys. I love you.